Hello my dears, welcome back to Let It Cook cooking channel. Today, by request, I'm making beef goulash again using a new technique in the new kitchen. For this, we need a whole bunch of onions. I've halved them and cut them into rings. Pepper, a bit of chili, garlic, red wine, beef stock, an organic lemon, salt, caraway, sweet paprika, mildly spicy smoked paprika, and a bit of ground coriander seed. Here's my bay leaf, some agave syrup, tomato paste, and a piece of beef shoulder. First of all, I bought a whole beef shoulder today. The advantage is we can cut it ourselves, which I prefer over the butcher since their pieces are often uneven. And you should always keep in mind, whenever you're cutting something like this, make sure you don't leave too much silver skin on it. The butcher already removed that for me. Sometimes small membranes remain, which can be tough. Basically, the rule is, if you have braising meat, or if you want to make a braised dish, like a goulash, which cooks for quite a long time, the meat needs to have a fair amount of connective tissue. The connective tissue breaks down during a longer cooking time and becomes tender. If you were to cook a steak, a regular steak, for a longer time, it would become very tough. And connective tissue, rich cuts of meat like a shank or a shoulder or something similar, become tender through the long cooking process. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. Now I'm going to cut the meat into slices about 3 to 4 centimeters thick. It depends on the desired cube size. I prefer to cut them a bit larger because they shrink a little while cooking. About like this. Let's cut that in half as well, yeah. And now we're going to dice the whole thing here. Just cut down twice like this, and now cut into roughly evenly sized cubes. Now it's working. It doesn't always go that easy. Yeah, but it's much better if you cut it yourselves because the butcher cuts it somehow, yeah? He likes using unsellable pieces to make goulash himself, which is why he prefers doing it. You get slightly larger, nicer pieces. Yeah, of course, if you have a lot of small pieces and big pieces, then the cooking times are different. That's also a bit less than ideal. So it's best to cut it yourself. Exactly. And with goulash, the general rule is to use about as many chopped onions as you have meat visually. Yeah, that's about the guideline. I've already peeled and chopped the onions myself beforehand to spare you the whole process, using a mandolin or sometimes a knife, depending on their size. All right, and now we'll chop this up nicely here. There we go. Next, I can go ahead and chop the garlic clove. I really like having it in there. It just gives a good flavor. Just cut the garlic clove in half. And since we're frying it today, I always recommend removing the sprout inside because that's what makes you smell the most. And it's also the part of the garlic that's the hardest to digest. So just take out this little sprout inside. You can also add some broth or something to cook it down. I don't have any today, so this time it's just going to be thrown away as an exception. So take that out. And now I always go ahead and cut the garlic like 3 times here, like 1, 2, 3 times. There. The bells are ringing again. Now pull your fingers back. Careful, the knives are sharp. Yes, by the way, you can order them below. I'll link them for you down there. And now just finely slice down here. Okay, by the way, it would be really nice of you if you leave a comment and a like. That would be great. It helps the channel a lot. Yeah, we want more users and need to grow. So please be kind, comment a lot, like, and tell your friends about us. First, let's begin. For example, with my old goulash, I always mistakenly browned the meat. A Hungarian woman taught me not to brown meat in classic goulash. I tried it once. I have to say it gets a bit more tender, so that's how we'll do it today. I'll show you how. So first, we're going to add a bit of neutral vegetable oil to the pot. And now I'm going to saute all the onions in there. And I'm going to add a bit of salt to the onions right away. Sprinkle it on generously. And then you can add a pinch of sugar. For example, I have some agave syrup here because I'm currently avoiding sugar. That's why I'm leaving it out today and just adding a few drops of sugar instead. That just helps us for a balanced taste. And this agave syrup is also very sweet and much healthier. Let that fry for 2 to 3 minutes, then add the spices. The onions have softened nicely, so we can add the spices. I'll add the garlic now. With garlic, it's important not to add it too early so it doesn't burn because it tends to get very bitter. Just add the garlic in here now. Now we add sweet paprika powder, a good amount. It can really be a good pinch. Now I have some smoked paprika powder here. This is something really great because it gives you a little extra flavor. But you can also use spicy paprika depending on what you find. And now I'm adding a bit of heat because I really like it. This is chili, but you don't have to use it. Just depends on how spicy you want it. I'll add a good pinch more because I don't mind if it's a bit spicy today. Now we'll let that sizzle for a bit. At first it looked like an insane amount of onions because it was such a huge pile. But you can see now how it all cooks down. And basically the onions are the reason why the sauce thickens. That means they dissolve later in all our stock and almost completely cook away. And that gives us the thickness. Now we're going to add the tomato paste. Tomato paste has a lot of acidity and we want to cook out some of that acidity. That's why we're going to let it saute here for a bit. You can see it's already sizzling nicely. Now let the tomato paste roast properly, then add a bit of caraway. I've learned that a lot of you don't really like caraway, but I'm a big fan of it. Especially with a dish like this, which is traditionally a bit heavier. Caraway is really good because it helps you digest. That's why I always add a bit of caraway. Caraway is commonly used in Bavarian dishes because it aids digestion. Now just a tiny pinch of coriander. Normally that's not supposed to go in, but I like to add it because it gives the dish a really special flavor. I've tried that recently and it always turned out really, really nice. And now once it's sauteed a little bit, we can go ahead and deglaze the whole thing with a splash of red wine. Yeah, you can also add a splash of port wine or use up any leftover white wine you have, whatever you can find. Yeah, maybe you still have some old broth in the freezer that's still frozen. Just add that in as well. For example, I found some old frozen beef broth and we'll add it now. But you can also buy some stock if you don't have any. Yeah, like that. Now we'll add a little splash of water on top. Now we'll add the bay leaf. Just one, that's plenty. And a bit of pepper, yeah? Now you just put the raw meat in here. It does seem weird at first. I thought so the first time I did it. It's classic Hungarian and they always have a reason, so it's actually much better. I have to admit, it tastes better than the first goulash I made. Even if it's hard, you're never too old to learn something new. So now you stir this really well. So you can spread it out nicely. You can already see that it's just enough so that the meat is roughly covered with sauce, so it's really sitting in the liquid. And that's just right. Now put the lid on, and then it's very, very important that you cook it slowly. Don't let it boil hard. Stop as soon as it starts boiling. Set your stove to about 3 or 4, or the lowest setting on a gas stove. And make sure it's just barely bubbling. I'll show you in a moment. Once mine has come to a boil, how it should be cooking, and then you can set it the same way at home. Now it's come to a boil, and you can see pretty well that it's just simmering gently here. Now you need to be a bit careful because we want to let it simmer for about 2.5 hours on very, very low heat. If you put a lid on the pot now, it will boil a bit more than what you've set it to. That means if you look at the setting now, set it a bit lower than you actually want. It boils later because putting the lid on raises the pot's heat slightly. Yes, that means the way I just said it, it's just barely simmering. And when you put the lid on the pot, it starts to boil a bit more and then it's perfect. Now we'll let it simmer gently for 2.5 to 3 hours on really, really low and slow heat. The more time you give the goulash, the more tender it will be. Just don't overcook it or it'll fall apart. It also depends on the meat quality. Check after 2 hours and look at the cube. Don't let them get too tender or mushy or you'll get meat mush. Nobody wants that. As I said, sometimes it's just a quality difference. Take a look. I'm definitely going to let it cook for at least 2 hours now. That's the minimum. I'll see you again soon and show you. 2.5 hours later, the meat is now really tender. It's like a dream. Let me show you. Goulash never looks very beautiful. It always looks like this. Yeah, it's just kind of a overcooked dish, but it just tastes incredibly good. I'm going to try a piece now. I'm having guests over tonight, so I'm not plating it up right now because I don't want to waste a portion. The guests are coming later. That's why I'm just going to try a small piece for you. Honestly, I've tried it already. It's very tender and tastes great. I forgot one thing. If you're already fans of my old goulash, you might know this. I always like to add just a tiny pinch of fresh lemon zest to the goulash. That gives the whole dish a fresh kick. It tastes absolutely fantastic. There are also people who don't like it. I've also read that some people find it too aromatic. Personally, I really like it. That's why I just grate a little bit of lemon zest on top, not too much. Be careful to avoid the white part as it gets very bitter. And just grate a little bit in there and let it come to a boil again. And then you can go ahead and serve it. A bread dumpling or spätzle goes perfectly with this, or you could make a napkin dumpling. There are no limits to your imagination. Have fun cooking this at home. If you'd be so kind, please leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, tell your friends, blah, blah, blah. You already know my old spiel. Have fun cooking along and enjoying Let It Cook cooking channel. Take care. See you soon. Ciao, servus.